Let's start with the team that I think has surprised some people, but if you were in the real know, and especially if you were me, Brandon, you were definitely in the know. The Detroit Lions are going to win the NFC North, as I predicted earlier this year. Nick, I'll start with you. Are the Detroit Lions pretenders or contenders?
I don't know if I want to go with a hot take or if I want to go with a regular take. I
Give us the hot.
I think the Lions are, even though they just lost to Lamar and the Ravens, I think when you look at the NFC, I think they could be contenders because all they got to do is go on one. All they got to do is win two games, and they're in the NFC, and they're in the NFC championship. You got to think They played some great teams. They've gutted out some wins. You know, losing to Lamar and Baltimore Ravens really put like a yo, calm down, like you're not there yet moment. But like I don't know, man. There's something about this Detroit Lions team that I feel like they could be a contender. I'm not gonna lie.
Look,
Q, what you think?
you gotta understand, the wins are coming against like weak opponents. So when you see them go to overtime with the Seahawks, a team that can, score the ball regardless of how bad Geno Smith is really playing because he hasn't been playing well. And you go up against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, a top tier team, they get utterly outclassed.
Mhm.
You understand once you get into the playoff situations, they're gonna have to see to win those two games. They're gonna have to either see the Cowboys, the Eagles, or the 49ers at least one time. Those are good teams. So if you see them get beat by good teams in the regular season, in the playoffs when it's a high leverage situation, they should get beat by them. It's probably going to be much of the same. And let's just say, since nobody really likes the Cowboys, we're just going to say they're trash, whatever. Say they make it past the Cowboys in the first round. They're not going to beat the Eagles no matter how bad the Eagles secondary is, and they just got helped by trading for
That was
Kevin
gonna
Byard.
be my next question. You don't think they got a chance to beat the Eagles?
If they have to score, but they have to still
True.
stop the Eagles, and the Eagles have been sluggish the first 7-8 weeks. So if you think that they're going to continue that trend, sure, but their run game is not going to allow them to just not put up points. They've been playing bad and putting up damn near 30 points every game. And then the 49ers, regardless of these last 2 weeks, what you've seen in Brock Purdy, whatever, I don't believe in Brock Purdy. He's assistant quarterback to me. He should be assistant quarterback to everybody. Everybody put him in conversation you don't belong in. He's gonna come back and they're not gonna miss a beat, and they're gonna stop teams how they regularly stop teams. They're gonna score. They have the best weapon basically in the conference. And Christian McCaffrey, when he comes back and starts doing what he's doing because he's hurt. Debo, if he's healthy, Brandon Ayuk, if he's healthy, they should run all over Detroit. The thing with Detroit, they're going to have a great record because the rest of their schedule is really weak. They should probably still win 12 games. That would just make you think that they're contenders, but all wins aren't equal.
I feel you.
Like it's a good story.
So
If
we're
they
not gonna we not gonna talk about that week one win against the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they had no Travis Kelsey. Though still
For
don't
week
matter.
one, Nick, like I always say about week one, it's the biggest toss up in sports. Like, because you don't really know it's first live action of real games. So like that one, it's a good win, right? But again, it's week one.
No.
A lot of things happen in week one that really don't show themselves. But I will say this about Q's point: he's correct in terms of the teams that they're facing, right? You're beating the Falcons. We talked about the NFC South. We literally skipped right over the NFC South. And it was in Detroit, so Atlanta usually doesn't play as well away as they do at home. You beat the Packers in Green Bay. That's a good win, still divisional win. It's an okay win. I won't say good. It's an okay win. You blow out the Panthers like you should. You let them score 24, but that's the big key. And this is what I've been saying about Detroit Lions. Even though I picked them to win the NFC North this year, and I'm really high on them, I know their setbacks. I know where their cap is, right? Their cap is their defense will get exposed. It's not this elite unit. I'm pretty sure if you go look at like Pro Football Focus or the stats in terms of that, they're ranked pretty high in certain things like that. I just their defense is their weak point. You have Aiden Hutchinson, who is a stud, an absolute stud. Probably when he gets into his absolute prime, he's going to be a defensive player of the year candidate. That's a stud right there.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you're not really banking on these other guys to really stop people. You got some good players, you got some scrappers and quality guys, some Dan Campbell guys, right? But you need some other guys. I'm pretty sure if I was on with UQ and I was bringing up the point where the Detroit Lions should go out and try and get Patrick Surtain. You know, they need a true number one corner. They need somebody who can because they already got in Hutchinson, the pass rusher. Now they need a guy in the secondary to help, slow down that time for the quarterbacks and make them hold the ball a second more, so Aiden Hutchinson has time to get there. But and once Q said, if you look at the rest of the Detroit Lions schedule, it doesn't look very, very frightening, right? And I just skimmed at it real quick because I got the ESPN app open. And I was like, he's pretty fucking right. You got Raiders, Chargers, Bears, Packers, Saints, Bears, Broncos, Vikings, Cowboys, Vikings. That's a pretty good schedule, man. And I know you got some divisional games in there, and those can get murky. That's a schedule you look at and say, we're gonna be all right. So they're gonna win the NFC North. I just still believe that they're better than the Packers. They're obviously better than the Bears, and they're better than the Vikings. I don't care what they did against the 49ers. They're better than the Vikings. So their offense is high-powered as fuck. That's going to be a tough thing to stop. Now, you saw when they went up against the Baltimore Ravens, who's got a top 2 defense in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. They're only number 2 to the 49ers. That might have changed, actually, this past week. I haven't checked up the numbers, but that's going to be tough. And like you said, you're going to have to go up against these teams, the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Niners, right? The class of the NFC. They're not beating the Niners. They're just not beating the Niners. The Eagles, I think they have a shot. They got a shot because that offense is very high-powered. And even though the Eagles brought Kevin Byard in, and I think he's a big plus, and I don't know how the fuck Howie Roseman keeps pulling off these goddamn moves. I mean, Jesus fucking, especially come from a Patriots guy. You know how infuriating this is to see these teams keep making moves. You got the 49ers going out and get CMC. You got the Cowboys going to get Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore. And then you got the fucking Eagles going out and get Kevin Byard and Bradbury and all these other guys. It's infuriating. I think they got a shot there. The Cowboys, and this was interesting, right? Because I was having a debate yesterday with my barber and the other barber that was there, and they're both Cowboys fans. And they were telling me, they were laughing at me basically when I said the Lions can give the Cowboys a tough go in the playoffs if they have to play in the playoffs. First off, they're gonna have to go to Detroit because Dallas is not winning that division. They're not. Detroit's winning their division. So if they meet in the wild card, you're gonna have to go to Detroit. 2, you got no Trevon Diggs now. That defense is not a number 1 defense like it was with Diggs. It's top 10, but it's a lower top 10, and it can be had, and we've seen it be had. And we know how great the Lions' offensive line is. It's top 2, top 3 in the entire league. Mm-hmm. They've got weapons. Jameson Williams, Amon St. Brown, Laporta. Thank you, Laporta, in fantasy football. You got Jahmyr Gibbs, who just had the best game of his career and his season so far. You got Dave Montgomery, who's going to be coming back. You got guys. You got Jared Goff playing high-level football regardless of what happened against the Baltimore Ravens. And you got Dan Campbell, a true leader and motivator as the head coach. It's going to be a tough go for those Cowboys. I think that they got a live shot to beat the Cowboys in the playoffs. I do.
Yeah, I mean, I want to circle back to the whole week 1.
Yo, Q was holding on to that for the whole time. He was like,
if you go back and watch the game, Patrick Mahomes played basically almost a perfect game. This was like a 2-point win off of a Kadarius Toney pick 6 because Patrick Mahomes didn't throw that interception. Kadarius Toney had the ball in his hands, and he popped it out of his hands, and Brian Bench ran over to go get it after Kadarius Toney literally just dropped it, basically just left it free. And then he fumbled the ball again a quarter later that resulted in points.
Yeah.
And it's a bunch of 6 more other wide receiver drops. Damn near. So it's like all it like I said about the Bucs thing, like it took a tip pass and this for them to even score last night, like that last score. If you play that game 10 times out of 10 without Travis Kelce and without Chris Jones again, still the Chiefs probably win 9 out of those 10 games. It's those 1 instances where it's like,
Yeah.
damn, he dropped it, he got the win. So like we probably could have been seeing a Detroit team that's what are they 6-1 or
They're
5-1?
6-1, so 5-2.
No, 5-2, 5-2, 5-2.
And on that same note, it took them an overtime win to beat the Seahawks.
Yeah.
So it's like we're scratching and clawing, like, but you see them dominate the bad teams, and like the numbers, like
they get the wins that they're supposed to.
Exactly.
Except against they lost against the Seahawks. They lost against the Seahawks. They lost against the Seahawks.
They did.
Yeah, that was the one loss that they had, I think.
All right, so yeah, they what 5-2?
They're 5-2. Yeah, 5-2.
It could have been 5-3 just as easily. And then we're not talking about them just as much. They get, but the numbers and the stats will make it seem like they're contenders. Same way how Brock Purdy had MVP numbers, but we clearly know he's not the MVP. It's something like that. But I don't want to take away from them having a good season. It's something to build on. But if they do go out and get a Patrick Surtain, now they'll have a player at every level because they have their pass rusher. They got two linebackers in Malcolm Rodriguez and Jack Campbell. They had a safety who went down, but they still have Brian Bench, and if they get another, one more corner, they literally have a playmaker in every position, and that just gives them hope. I'm not saying for this year, but definitely next year they should be in the running because they still need to put all the defense. I just don't think we should be ready to say they are because
is there a possibility CJ Gardner-Johnson comes back this year or no?
I think he said he's going to be coming back for a playoff thing, but that's, it's out there. I forget exactly what the injury was. I know it was to I think it was to his lower body. But I think he made a video saying I'm going to be coming back, but obviously no updates on that yet. But I do want to mention, I forgot about those guys, Jack Campbell and Brian Branch, the rookies for the Detroit Lions. They're playing incredible football.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I want to give a shout out to them. They're just young players. They're going to mature into that, especially Brian Branch. I'm a big fan. This kid, he's got the instincts. He's got the timing. He's got it in there. They were able to steal him in the second round, I think. Absolutely. I don't know where the Patriots were at that. Well, we're pretty good at safety, so we didn't need him. And he's Alabama. But, yeah, I think you're right. All they need is that cornerback on defense. That's all they need. And once they get that cornerback, and I know Sutton, he's a good player and stuff, but they need that true cornerback to help because you got the NFC. You look at Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, CD Lamb, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. Those are the guys you're gonna have to go up against.
Yeah,
those are the guys, and you got to have somebody that's going to be able to match them or help take them down a little bit, and they don't have that right now. But I do want to wrap it up by saying I agree with Nick in terms of the NFC is a little weak right now because it's just 3 teams at top, and then the Lions are creeping into that top 4. We got to start talking about a top 4. But I don't know if they can't get past 49ers. I know that. At full health, they're not getting past 49ers. The Eagles, I think they have a shot because the Eagles defense can be had. I know it can be had. Even with Kevin Byard, I think the Eagles defense still can be had. And the Cowboys, Trevon Diggs is not coming back. And I know that's going to be a dogfight between those teams. And I've seen the Cowboys against a weak defense where they were supposed to take advantage of that in the Chargers, and they didn't even meet the Chargers season averages. They didn't even meet those expectations. And that's disappointing in my end.